Well, Seth, thanks for coming to talk. And I just kind of wanted to get an idea for our warrior surfers and anybody else out there that's interested in this stuff about sort of your journey with breathwork and meditation. Where you got started and sort of just generally what you think people can kind of get out of it, out of that journey.
Yeah, great question. So, my journey with breathwork and meditation, I started meditating, I would say maybe 15 years ago, um, as a part of yoga in the beginning. When yoga was kind of becoming more and more popular, I started, experiencing yoga classes and meditating there, and then, started to do a little bit of meditation on my own at home, and found it to be really incredible for so many things. But during that time, I was dancing professionally. I'm a former ballet dancer, and I found that meditation really helped to quiet my mind before performances, and really helped me to deal with some of that performance anxiety that would naturally come before going on stage. And so just really started to drop into the benefits of it pretty quickly. And then, as I've moved through different stages of my life, and, the loss, the grief, the experiences that we have as we, navigate our day-to-day experiences, meditation has been such a trusty tool to really support navigating whatever life throws my way. And in 2017, I experienced breathwork for the very first time. And breathwork, yes, I'd experienced that in yoga, but the type of breathwork that I facilitate now is more of an active meditation. And so the type of breathwork that I facilitate now is called pranayama, but most people, when they think of pranayama in terms of the yogic philosophy, that can be any type of breath, yogic breathing, nostril breathing, like all these different types of breathing. But this particular type of breath is one that it's rhythmic, and it's really designed to help move energy and to kind of neutralize the mind in a pretty powerful way. So my first experience with that breath work was in 2017 on a plant medicine retreat in Peru. And the first time I tried it, I hated it.
Sure.
I was like, this is so intense. It was really intense, and it was so uncomfortable and unnatural. And I didn't really realize that it was designed to be that way, that it was designed to help to move energy. And so I didn't necessarily write it off, but I was very, very much sort of like, hesitant around being all in with the practice. And then after I got back from Peru, really probably about a month or two later, it's funny, it came back into my life. It just kind of kept returning in all these different ways, and some of my friends were becoming certified to facilitate breath work. And I had one particular breathwork journey with a facilitator who was trauma informed and did more of a gentle introduction into the practice instead of kind of hitting it off pretty aggressive, like right off the bat, which, can be a lot for the system to process. It was an experience that kind of eased into the journey in a way that was quite profound. And I had really a spiritual experience that sort of opened my heart and my mind to the possibilities of the work. And so I started to just hold space for myself to have, to practice on my own. That particular facilitator had a membership at the time that, was, I think, like the new moon and the full moon. She was offering, these pre-recorded audio journeys. And so I was just doing it on my own, and really began to notice again, the benefits of the practice from a physiological and physical standpoint. But what really got me was the emotional aspect of it and the spiritual aspect. So not only was I starting to kind of hone my focus a little bit more through that active meditation, like creating more clarity and having more focus in my day-to-day, and really feeling like a nervous system reset after everything. But I found through this particular practice of breath work that some of the emotional pieces that I was holding on to, old like traumas, old grief, old sorrow, old sadness, anger, all of that was something that I was moving through with the breath in a way that helped me to feel not just like I was kind of circling around it, like I felt that I was in therapy a lot of the time, but more in a way that supported me to move all of that kind of stuck or unprocessed emotion. And then as I would create that space in my system from moving that emotion, then I was able to connect more fully to what I refer to as spirit, my intuition, my higher self, and have more of these kind of expanded experiences of consciousness. And so, I think 2019 was when I went through my facilitator training, and have been working one-on-one and in groups, with clients ever since. And some of the sort of feedback that I usually receive after sessions is like, holy crap, what the hell was that? Like, oh my gosh, like I haven't cried that much in, forever. Like, or I had this, really powerful connection with myself, like forgave this person in my life, so it's such a powerful practice that I feel like language can only do so much to describe,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
Which is a really common thing in my experience with working with breath work, meditation, that sort of umbrella.
Yeah.
It's a lot of experiences that are really tough to explain for a lot of people. But I think that especially the people that we see coming through our program with Warrior Surf, this is something that speaks to them as far as just generally, working with my emotion, becoming more open to these sorts of things, letting go, being uncomfortable, being comfortable in the uncomfortable, those sorts of things. So all stuff that I've experienced as well as I've dove into breath work and meditation and these things. And I think that the word is kind of getting out there as far as the benefits to these things, as well as sort of the lifestyle and the spiritual aspect.
Yes.
And how far you can go with that. I wonder what type of breath work, what do they call it basically?
They call it pranayama yoga is the type of breath work that I facilitate. And I also have quite a good bit of experience with transformational breath work as well. It's a different type of technique, but that's a type of breath work that I've practiced quite a bit myself. So yeah, pranayama yoga is really what it's called.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm familiar with, we've got like holotropic in a lot of places popping up in Charleston and greater areas. Wim Hof is kind of, it's popular. It's a thing that a lot of people are practicing. Is it similar to something like that?
It absolutely is. And most people, before they know, like, oh, pranayama, they know of David Elliott, who is my teacher and who is the sort of one of the elders in this form of healing. He's really someone who has helped to put this particular practice of breath work on the map. And it's a 3-part breath that we work with. It's a 2-part inhale and an exhale. So everything is done through the mouth, and it's the first inhale goes down and into the low belly. The second part of the inhale goes up into the upper chest, and then exhale out of the mouth. And the idea behind that sort of rhythmic pattern of breath is, we bring more oxygen and life force into these areas of the body where we can tend to get stuck, or when times of stress we can kind of hold our breath or breathe really shallowly up in the chest. And so exactly
how most of us are breathing on a daily basis. Sure.
Like that we feel stress and we just kind of like hold it, and so we bring more of that life force down into the belly where a lot of emotions can get stuck, and then we pull it up into the heart space or the chest, and then exhale out of the mouth. So it's this idea of like bringing the energy up and releasing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, love it. So if you were to talk to somebody who was just starting out or even curious about this stuff, what would you say to sort of get started? Where would you look? What kind of mentality would you have? Those sorts of things.
That's a great question. Well, I think a lot of times folks will come to me and find me because they're hearing about breathwork, number one, and they're maybe feeling a little bit stuck in their lives. Like they may be feeling, like they're bumping up against some patterns, like limitations, old narratives in their world and in their experience of life that they're like, oh, maybe breathwork can help,
Mm-hmm.
And so typically what I'll do is just really get an idea of where the person is and what it is that they're looking to achieve, like what is their real intention around the practice, and then, invite them to create a deeper connection with their inner world, their emotions, their body, through essentially what is a practice of presence. Like how often do we give ourselves the opportunity to just lay down and breathe for 20-30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and to really kind of normalize that time to connect to the inner world, because that is often the space that's needed for some of the deeper stuff to move. And so we always start a little bit slow in the beginning and just, creating the relationship with, what it is that they're wanting to achieve, what their intention is, and then moving through in the beginning, usually a shorter practice to start to become familiar with the breath and to, yes, learn the mechanics and the sort of like technique of it, but to begin to create that safety or even familiarity and like reacquainting with the emotional somatic world.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
Cool. And do you have like website info,
Yes.
anything like that we could put you in contact?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram, Stephanie M. Burg, and my website is stephanieburg.com. And I usually do at least once a month a virtual breathwork journey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, anyone can join that. And then off and on, I'm doing in-person events here in Charleston, and I will usually share about those too. Usually like once a month, every other month. I also lead retreats and things like that too. So
Boom.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and discussing everything
you.
with us, and look forward to having you as part of the Warrior Surf community going forward.
Thank you. Thanks for the work that you're doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.